Alright, so yeah, Mila's gonna go and get a 9. Let's go and go to blue. We have Archmage, Archmage Emeritus. 4 mana, 2/2 flyer, or not even a flyer. He looks like he's flying out. I feel like he's flying in the picture. I feel like he's floating in the air or something. No, it's not a flyer. 2 blue blue, 2/2. Whenever you cast an it or copy an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. Pretty good. Emeritus, okay. That's pretty good. Kind of a boring card, but you're always gonna play it. There was in the past, there's been like a 2 green green 2/3 whenever you cast a creature, draw a card, and that card was a bomb. This is at least a 9. It might be a 10. There's a chance you play this and draw a card immediately, and if your opponent doesn't kill it, they lose, right? I basically rate things as 9s if your opponent has to kill them immediately or they lose. 8s are for cards that are just like solid cards. They're like they don't win the game on the spot. They don't win the game. They don't pay you every turn. They don't pay rent. Archmage Emeritus pays rent. He pays you when you're on the board. Alright, 3 cost 3/2 flyer. When it becomes the target of a spell, sacrifice it. When it dies, learn. This card's good. It's a solid 8. This is what I'm talking about, where it doesn't pay you every turn to stick around. Yeah, it's only spell. They can target with abilities. You can target with abilities. I mean, anything that's going to target this is going to kill it anyways, right? So, and there are certain spells that target it that are actually, like, don't really kill it without your opponent being sad about it. For instance, Guiding Voice. If they Guiding Voice your creature, they don't get to learn. Because they target your creature, it gets sacrificed, and then it goes to resolve, and it has no targets, and it's countered, you don't get to learn, right? So, it's not free to target Dream Strix with a spell. These types of creatures have existed in the past, and they're, as long as the strat line is good, it doesn't really matter. But anything that's going to target is going to kill it anyways. Ingenious Mastery. You may pay 2 to blue rather than pay the spell's mana cost. If the 2 to blue cost was paid, you draw 3 cards. Then an opponent creates 2 treasure tokens and they scry 2. Okay, wait. So this is a split card where I can pay 5 mana to draw 2 cards. Right, 5 or 6 mana, or 6 mana to draw 3 cards, or I can pay 3 mana to draw 3 cards, and your opponent gets to make 2 treasures and scry 2. I mean, this card's good. I don't know how often I'm going to play the 2 to blue cost. You're probably not going to play this on turn 3, because you don't want to give your opponent 2 treasure tokens and a scry 2, and you don't want to discard 1 to hand size. You can't kill your opponent with this, because it's only you draw cards, right? You can't say, it doesn't say target player. It is a sorcery as well. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking if it's like turn 7 or turn 8, there's a good chance I would maybe just play the 2 to blue cost, even on turn 7 or turn 8, so I can like draw a card and play it. And then my opponent's gonna like draw a card and play it, but like, yeah. Huh, interesting. Do I splash this? Yeah, you would splash this. It's probably a 7. It's either a 7 or a 9, I'm not sure. I have to play against this a couple of times to see how bad it is. Maybe it's an 8. Maybe it's an 8, and I'll maybe revise it up or down depending on when I play with the card. This is a card you just have to play with to see how bad it is. Because 2 treasure tokens and scry 2 is... I don't know how to evaluate that. I think scry 2 is like half a card, and like 2 treasure tokens is maybe half a card. So you're like, if this was 2 and a blue, draw 3, and your opponent discards 1, I think I'd play that card. But not sure. And maybe it is a 7. I'm willing to revise it up. I mean, do I think that 2 and a blue cost, I think it's worse than divination. And now that I think about it, I think it is worse than divination. Now that I think about it. Wait a minute. I think it's pretty likely this card is worse than divination. Like, just straight up 2 and a blue draw 2. I think this card's worse than that. But yeah, because the whole thing about divination is you play it on turn 3 to like get extra land so you can like curve out perfectly turn 4, 5, 6, and then you can't even really do that with this card. Because if you do it, then your opponent's gonna have a 6 drop on turn 4 and they're gonna run you over. Yeah, I don't know about this. I think you always play it just for the X2 blue part. I guess I'm maybe concentrating too hard on. I'm probably concentrating too hard on the 2 and a blue cost, which you're probably almost never gonna do. But we'll see. Yeah, it's a 7 mana draw 4, which is fine. At sorcery speed. This might be a 10. This might be a 10. X and a blue, multiple choice. If X is 1, scry 1, then draw a card. If X is 2, you may choose a player. They return a creature they control to its owner's hand. So they choose and bounce one of their creatures. If X is 3, create a 4/4. Red and blue elemental token. If X is 4, do all the above. So it's like it cycles for 2. It's a 3 mana unsummon, cycles for 2, 3 mana unsummon, 4 mana. It's a 4 mana 4/4, which is actually good for blue. Or it's a 5 mana 4/4 draw a card, and they unsummon one of their creatures. So it's like a super Bergstrider for 5 mana, right? And it's a spell, so it triggers your Magecraft. Yeah, it's a Bergstrider. It's like it's sort of like a Bergstrider that draws a card. I mean, like scries then draws a card, even better. A cantripping Bergstrider that has 2 buyouts. Well, it has all the buyouts of like 2 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana. Yeah, you would splash for this for sure. I would find it pretty hard to believe you don't splash for this. Not winning games on its own? I mean... Yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's just a cantripping 4/4. It's a big mana war, maybe. I think it's close. It's like 9. It's 1 mana buyout for X equals 0. Yeah, it is kind of weird that for the flavor fail of it's not. I guess it's not implied on the card, but you could say none of the above and just pay 1 blue. But yeah, for like a multiple choice thing. It's like a 9.5. It's close to a 10. It's close to a 10. I'm not sure it's better. I'm not sure it's better than Sparring Regimen. I'm not sure it's actually better than this. But yeah, Sparring Regimen is a 10 and will single-handedly win you the game. Yeah, I don't think this is better than that. I think it's worse. I'll put it as a 9 for now. High 9. Tempted by the Auric. For each opponent, gain control of up to 1 target creature or planeswalker that player controls with mana value 3 or less. Okay. Triple blue is... That's tough. I mean, this is essentially like it's trying to pretend to be an FTK, right? At the end of the day, because you're paying 4 and you're getting a body of a creature that's like a 2 or 3 drop body that basically entered the battlefield and killed something. So this is basically an FTK. It's trying to act like an FTK, a Flametongue Kavu, or Necrotal. Threads of Disloyalty is not a card you would play in Sealed, I don't think. Although you would in this set. Dude, why is it every single time I look at a card, I get 5 people in my chat asking me about fractals? Yeah, I get it. It takes fractals. I get it. And yes, I know it's for each opponent. So it's for multiplayer. We don't talk about multiplayer in sealed. FTK is Flame Tongue Kavu. The OG. It's what all... It dominated everything for a long time after it was printed. It was this fellow. Like 3-mana 4/2s exist, right? So this is essentially like Tempted by the Auric is, to me, it seems like a very similar to Flame Tongue Kavu, where you're killing something that costs 3 or less, and you're getting a creature out of it. Now the thing is, it doesn't untap the creature, so you're getting a tapped creature out of this. So you're not even getting like an untapped blocker. Like if your creature tapped to attack you, then you're getting a tapped creature, so you can't even block with it. Yeah, and the triple blue is really hard to cast. I'm gonna put this as maybe a 6 or a 7. The most recent example of this was there was a split card in, what is it, Guild Pack, or one of the most recent Ravnica block. It was like 2 blue, gain control of a creature that costs 2 or less, or like 5 mana, like Surveil 3, and then return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. And that card was good, but like it wasn't amazing. And yeah, you almost never use the side that was like 2 blue. So yeah, was it Contrive? Contrive Contrition. I'm not seeing it, but oh, is it Concoct? Yeah, it was Concoct. What was gain control of a creature? Oh, it was gain control of a creature with power 2 or less. So maybe it was a little bit worse, as most 3-drops have 3 power. It was a little bit worse, but we still almost never use the connive part. It was connive, concoct. All right, Torrent Sculptor, Ward 2. Enters the battlefield, exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard, put a number of +1/+1 counters on Torrent Sculptor equal to half that card's mana value. Round it up. So you exile a 3-drop sorcery from your graveyard, and you get 2 counters. So it's a 4/4 Ward 2. Sure. Doesn't fly. It's a merfolk. Merfolk don't fly. Flamethrower Sonata is the backside, and it's discard a card, then draw a card. When you discard an instant or sorcery card in this way, it deals damage equal to its converted mana, well, not converted mana cost, mana value. They changed that this set. Mana value to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. So it's 1 in a red. I discard a 4-cost sorcery. I deal 4 to one of my opponent's creatures or planeswalkers, and then I draw a card. So kind of reminds me of Hypothesizzle in that way. Now, Hypothesizzle was a common in the past, but Hypothesizzle was like pretty phenomenal, which was this. Draw 2 cards, and then you may discard a non-land card. When you do, it deals 20 damage to target creature. It's kind of what it reminds me of. But I'm going to imagine that you're going to be playing the front side of this probably pretty often. It's probably going to be a 4/4. Yeah, the Ward 2 makes it's going to be pretty hard to kill this if you have the combo of like one of those Treasure Maker instants and sorceries that cost 8. This turns into like a turn 3 6/6 Ward 2. You might be able to get them with that. I wasn't seeing a lot of Death Touch. I think the front side is an 8 and the back side's like a 6. So I'm just gonna go. If you're just playing red, I'm not sure I would play this card unless I was playing the blue part. The red part is kind of medium minus. The red card, like, it is card disadvantage, right? To an extent. Because you're just cutting 2 spells to draw a random spell and deal 4 and kill one of your opponent's things. And drawing a random card is not as good as just having a spell in your hand a lot of the time. And plus, the spell you discard has to be a high mana value card, right? Can't just be like a ham sandwich that you're throwing away. And I don't think Flamethrower Sonata works with all the other, like... It does, for instance, I don't think Flamethrower Sonata works with... it doesn't work with this. Selfless Glyph Weaver, for an example, right? Suppose, like, the backside of this card is 8, but you wouldn't be able to discard that card and have it be able to do this. So, like, a lot of the high-cost instants and sorceries in the format don't actually count as instants and sorceries when they're discarded or in your graveyard. So, yeah, you have to choose a creature and Deadly Vanity. I mean, I would say only the blue part is good. If you're just playing the red part, don't even bother. Maybe this is a 7. The front part's, like, not even that impressive unless you have some sort of gimmick going on. This actually might be a 6. You have to put a lot of work into this to make it just like a creature. Like a French vanilla creature. That's a lot of work. This is probably just a 6. 4-cost 3/3 ward is a card you wouldn't even play, right? So, like, unless you're exiling a card that costs 3 or greater, I wouldn't even look at this card. I'll put it as a 6. Yeah, if you exile like a 5-cost lesson, you're getting 3 counters. There's like a 4-cost 5/5 ward too, but you had to work so hard for that. This is like turn 7. You get like a 4-cost 5/5 turn 7. This is like rotted in your hand before that. I'm not impressed. Of Ilda, Dean of Perfection, 3-cost 2/2. Tap, you may exile an instant or sorcery card from your hand and put 3 hone counters on it. It gains, at the beginning of your upkeep, if this card is exiled, remove a hone counter on it. And the last hone counter is removed. If it's exiled, you may cast it. It costs 4 less. So you can, like, tap to suspend 3. An instant or sorcery card in your hand. This looks bad. Yeah, you have to cast it when the last thing is removed on on that upkeep. Otherwise, it just stays exiled. It's not even free. You have to pay 4 mana. You have to pay 4 less for it. I'm not impressed by that. Nasari, Dean of Expression. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of each opponent's library. Until the turn, you may cast spells from among those exiled cards. And you may spend mana as though it was mana of any color to cast those spells. Okay, so you can't play lands on the top of your opponent's deck, but you can play anything else. And whenever you cast a spell from exile, put a counter on it. Sure. Reminds me of the legendary dinosaur from Ixalan, that cost 4 red. Was it Xtut? It was like EXT something, right? Was it Itali? Itali Primal Storm? Yeah, that's exactly what this reminds me of. And this was a bomb. I mean, Itali needed a turn, but it was a bomb. Like, it was a 9 out of 10. So that's what it looks like to me. It's a very similar card to me. It doesn't even have to attack, so like if your opponent has a Death Touch creature or like a bigger creature, you don't have to attack. You still get the benefit. Yeah, this is much more of a red card. The blue card I wouldn't bother. It's a 9 red card. Yeah, the blue card is a card you would just not play. It would be like a 3 out of 10. The blue half of this is whatever. No, it's till end of turn, is what it says, right? It says until end of turn, you may cast spells. Oh, no, wait, you're right. Wait a minute. No, you're right. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from among those exiled cards. So, if this sits out 3 turns, can I play the card that I exiled on the first turn? Okay, so we got coin flipped opinions. Oh, you know what the those is? The those is referring to each opponent. So like if it's a multiplayer game, you would exile 4 cards, right? And then you can play among those cards until end of turn. All 4 of those cards. But because it's a 1-player game, the those just confuses you. So it's just until end of turn, you may cast spells from among you may cast the exiled card. Forget the rest of it. Okay, so it's worded a little bit confusingly. But if I exile something, I have to play this turn or it's gone for good. Alright. Good question, though. Jadzi, Oracle of Archavias. Discard a card, return it to your hand. Okay. 8 mana 5/5. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, read the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card, you may cast it by paying 1. Rather than paying its mana cost. If it's a land card, put it on the battlefield. Okay. So it's like a Mind's Desire. Right? Just a Mind's Desire that's a 5/5 creature. And if you reveal like another instant or sorcery, it keeps going, I guess. Well, I don't think... Yeah, and the thing is, it puts the land into play untapped. So the lands you hit with this, that you put into play untapped, you can use to pay the 1 to hit things that are not lands. Right? So like it sort of pays for itself. But I actually don't think this is better. The thing is, it's not better than Bookworm in my mind. I don't think it's as good as this. I think this is a better card. So, and I put Bookworm as a pretty low card. I put Bookworm as an 8, and I think this card's worse. What's the backside? You may put any number of land cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Then if you control 8 or more lands, you may discard a card. Whatever, you're not gonna do this. Okay. Yeah, the backside is a 1. You would never play the backside. Okay, so it's turn 5, and I have 1 land in my hand. I can pay 4 mana to put my land into play, and then this goes to the graveyard and nothing happens. If it's like turn 6 and I have 2 lands in my hand, I can pay 4 to put those 2 lands into play untapped, and then I can discard a card to return this card to my hand. It's still a 1. It's a 1 out of 10. The backside is a 1. If you put 8 into play, you can play the backside. Okay, so how do I have 4 lands in play and a Journey to the Oracle and 4 more lands in my hand? Hogan Long, I want you to pretend that I know what you're talking about, and that's not going to happen in Sealed. Sorry. Unless your plan is to have a 39 land deck, 39 lands and Jadzi. Well, you said read it again, and I read it again, and it was still a 1 out of 10. I read it twice, and it was still 1 out of 10. But I think the front side is worse than that Bookworm. I'm gonna put this as a 7. I'm not sure you're always gonna play this. But imagine if it's instant or sorcery, you play it, and you just like hit a creature. It's like, to me, it's like 8 cost, untap. Maybe if you have an instant or sorcery, draw a card. And to me, that's just like, that's whatever. That's whatever. I'm not impressed. This feels like a 7 to me. I'm not impressed. 8 mana is so much. And it's 8 mana, I have to play it, and I have to have instant or sorcery. Just to draw a card. It's way worse than this. It's not even close. It's way worse than this. Not even on the same universe. Am I going to play this every time? I don't think I am. You're right. This might be a 5. Yeah, there's an 8 mana theme in the format, and I don't know how people are getting to 8 mana. I don't know how they're doing it. Yeah, maybe this is a 4. I truly don't, like, especially for instance in the color white, that just didn't exist, right? Like, I don't know how people are getting to 8 mana. It's not like you have Eldrazi Scions in this format, right? Like, you get a bunch of tokens that you can sack to make colorless mana. I know there's like some treasure tokens, there's treasure from some cards, but not many, right? Not many. I don't understand how you're getting to 8 mana. There's not, like, I didn't see Goldvein pick in this format either, right? Like a 2 colorless artifact that just makes mana every turn. Yeah, Goldvein pick. I don't know how they're doing it. There's no Horizon Seekers. There's no like 3 mana 3/2s that just draw lands perpetually. I don't know. I'm not seeing it. Maybe this is a 4 or 5. Probably a 5 just for the power level. If you get to 8 mana, this will probably win you the game if you have 8 mana and instant or sorcery and your opponent doesn't like do anything. But I mean, 8 mana cards, that's what they should be doing. The thing with Bookworm is it actually has like a defensive ability and it draws the card immediately. And it has trample and it's just like a 7/7 trample. Like Bookworm, to me, Bookworm is just like way better than this card. I'm willing to be wrong. If this was single pip, that's a good point. If this was 7 colorless and a blue, I would probably pick this up to a 6 because you'd probably splash for it. It being double blue means it's really hard to splash as well. And they have those scry lands are common, right? So like if you have 5 or 6 lands, it's likely you're scrying lands to the bottom. I don't know. That's gonna be it for blue. Let's go to another color.